Now, Councilman Frye, item 7B.
Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw. Item 7B is murder-free Fredericksburg. And for folks who don't know, I usually bring this to the table every so often for the hopes of not having a homicide in the city of Fredericksburg or anywhere. But I'm a city rep, 22401. But we almost had good news. We almost went a total of 12 months. We almost went that long. I think we're very close to what happened last year with a homicide. And just last week, which everybody knows, when the area was on lockdown and whatever happened in the city last week, there was which ended up being a homicide and also a suicide. And I actually know, I know these families, and it's a tough issue, and I wish there was something I could do. I know that like negativity sells, and I'll just give the public a prime example. We've been doing a gun give back for I think 5 times now, 5 years or so. And excuse me for being upset, but it's real. So I personally invited the news folks to Fredericksburg for what we were doing here, which I thought was great from the beginning. And I always got excuses. I have an email trail of me inviting everybody. I've reached out to the governor. I really don't care what I say about it, because I've reached out to everybody. I want the folks in Fredericksburg to know that if you name a person or department, I've reached out, and everybody's busy. And you know, it's not a real issue right now. I'm pretty sure if it was happening to their neighbor, their kid or their kid's schoolmate, I'm pretty sure it would be a big issue at that moment. But for some reason, it's not. In Fredericksburg, we make all the bad news, but we do a lot of great things. And it's amazing how, like, I think it takes, I learned just last week how long it takes for a helicopter to get here from DC. And if I'm not mistaken, it's 8 minutes or 10 minutes. I just learned that last week based on a shooting. I take that back. Based on a shooting. I learned that just last Friday. So I don't care what folks say about me, about what I say, but I want to say, like, even to the media folks, like, shame on you for emphasizing on negativity instead of helping the situation. And that's my opinion. But it's like, I assume that and this is not what I'm going to do, and I'm just throwing it out there. I assume if I stood on the steps of City Hall and shot a gun 5 times with a letter saying, we collect guns in the city, or if you need help with somebody with, you know, that could be suicidal or on the verge, I assume that in 10 minutes there would be a helicopter wondering what the councilman's doing shooting on the steps of City Hall. And it's like, is that my only option to get the word out with that note when they zoom in and see the note saying, hey, we can help you, you know? So I just wish that folks knew the options that we have here. And of course, things will happen, but these are like the worst scenarios. Last year, a young lady was shot. It was a month after graduation. This year, last Friday, this young lady that was shot, and I know Councilor Duffy and Mr. Vine, I know you guys, you taught these kids. My wife's an educator. My wife, you know, taught these kids. It's real life. I don't try to get too personal. I have a kid that just graduated with this young lady a month ago. They had their first part-time job together at a fast food restaurant. And it's real. It really hits home. And I want the public to know we have a policy or a program in the city of collecting weapons. And if somebody has a weapon in their home, or they know somebody who has a weapon, if they have access to taking that weapon, especially when they think that something may happen, or why does this kid have a weapon? All you have to do is, you can call 911 if you want to. You can call 543-72-1010. You can call us in the city. You can email me. I've said it a million times. It was a situation at 12:30 midnight. Somebody called me, and I collected a weapon myself. Somebody called me. So imagine what was happening that night if I got the call. So I want more folks to know, because after all the media frenzy, I didn't hear once that, by the way, the city of Fredericksburg collects guns. If there's one laying in the closet under your kid's bed or whatever the case, I never heard that once. I never heard what we do for, let's say, I'm not saying what it is, but it could be mental illness. That stuff doesn't get out there, but the worst part of it will get out there. So I want to give kudos to our city and what we really do, and not, what's out there. Things do happen, but it's hard to deal with it when knowing that our city works hard to try to prevent. I'm not saying that you can, but if the word was out a little bit stronger, hey, if there's a weapon out there, you can turn it in. We do it. We have an annual event, but there's an open door policy at all times. No questions asked. We don't care who the gun came from. If you used the gun before, I guarantee you probably use it again because it's already been used before. Just turn the thing in. So sorry for getting emotional, but it's real to me. I've seen it too many times. That's all I have. And then I'm gonna throw one more thing in there, not to take too long. Give some kudos to our police department. And I try not to get in things that I have nothing to do with, but we had an officer that was injured a few weeks ago as well. And this is the next council meeting, I think, since that's happened. So I'm just bringing that up, and I'm not going to go too much in depth. But we have folks that protect us, and the phone call comes in, and somebody has to go, and it's an officer, and then something happens. I don't know what happened. I can't speak on it, but an officer was injured. And in the same scenario, there was, you name it, 100 folks, helicopters, all over. 4 days later, there was an event called Peace in the Paint in Mayfield. Probably was 700 folks out there, maybe more. I help every year with that program. And guess who was out there? Police officers. But that's the stuff that folks that don't see. Even 4 days after being injured, a colleague was injured in the quote-unquote bad neighborhood. And out there with everybody else was our police department, right in the middle of everything, for a fun day. And that's the stuff that people don't see. But if something happens real bad, it's all out there. So if I was a millionaire, I would create a good news channel or something. But I'm not. I'm just Chuck Frye in the City Council of Fredericksburg. So, but much respect to what the city does, and rest in peace to the young folks who lost their lives last week. And that's all I have. Thank you, Mayor Greenlaw.
Thank you, Councilor Frye. That was indeed a tragic incident. Councilor Duffy.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Mr. Frye, for your comments and your efforts. I do want to say that, this is a small community. And when these things happen, it's a tragedy for all of us, but especially for these young people who we've worked with closely. It hurts, but it is important for us to remember how important it is for us to keep going, to be creative, to do things that will help eliminate these kinds of tragedies in the future, whether it's, schools or community events, whatever. But no effort is wasted that tries to stop this kind of insanity. So again, I just want to echo your comments and thank everybody who fights every day to try to help people. Appreciate it.